At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Charlie Heler. You can tell he's not your typical movie hero. No chiseled jaw, no tactical gear, no brooding stare into the distance. He's in his garage, hunched over the scattered parts of an old, beaten-up plane, carefully trying to piece it back together. It's not just any plane, though. It's one his wife, Sarah, gave him as a gift, a little piece of their love story, sitting in scrap metal form. Sarah walks in just as Charlie is deep in his restoration project. She's warm, playful, and clearly the kind of woman who lights up every room she enters. She reminds him she's heading off to a business conference in London and asks him to come say goodbye properly. Inside their kitchen, Charlie makes her coffee, something she dramatically declares she cannot survive without, and she gently nudges him to come with her to London. He declines, citing work he still needs to get done. When her ride pulls up, Charlie walks her out, kisses her goodbye, and even jokingly jogs after the car as it pulls away, laughing and waving. It's a small, tender moment. Later, Charlie arrives at his workplace. He's a CIA analyst. Not the kind who carries guns and jumps off buildings, the kind who sits in a secured room, stares at encrypted data all day, and quietly solves problems everyone else gave up on. He passes through security at Langley and runs into a massive, intimidating field agent everyone calls the Bear, who casually asks Charlie to fix his computer at lunch. Charlie agrees without hesitation. That little detail tells you everything you need to know about how people see him. Helpful, harmless, easy to underestimate. At his desk, Charlie receives an encrypted message from someone he's been in contact with for years, a mysterious informant known only by the code name Inquiline. Charlie has never met this person, doesn't even know their real identity. But Inquiline has just sent him a file with a very serious warning. Handle this carefully, because what's inside could destroy your entire agency. Charlie's curiosity is immediately locked in. He tries to open the file. Error. Again. Error. So, during lunch, he sneaks into a restricted room reserved for senior staff and uses their supercomputer to crack it open. What he finds inside stops him cold. The file contains classified evidence of illegal drone strikes, military operations that were secretly disguised in public reports as suicide bombings. Over 150 people killed. French special forces, Danish Marines, civilians, and the man who planned and authorized every single one of these strikes? Chief Moore, Charlie's own boss. Charlie, the quiet computer guy, has just accidentally stumbled onto one of the biggest cover-ups inside the CIA. But before he can even process what to do with this information, his world collapses from underneath him. That night, Charlie tries calling Sarah. No answer. He leaves a voicemail telling her he misses her, asking her to call him back. She never does. The next morning, Charlie walks into the office to find Chief Moore standing near his desk. Moore is pleasant, almost suspiciously so. He asks Charlie to follow him to the director's office, where he introduces him to Director O'Brien, the agency's newly appointed head. O'Brien delivers the news with the kind of careful, practiced sympathy that makes everything worse. There's been a terrorist attack in London, at the hotel where Sarah was staying. 4 terrorists stormed the building, took hostages, and killed 2 people, including an American woman. Charlie immediately goes into denial. He says they need to call her. He reaches for his phone, but Moore turns on a television showing live coverage. And then Moore pulls up the hotel's security footage. And there she is. Sarah, gone. This is one of the most emotionally brutal moments in the film because Charlie doesn't collapse dramatically. He just stops, like someone pulled the power cord. And in that stillness, you feel every ounce of his loss. Later that day, his coworker Carlos drives him home past a swarm of reporters, trying to get a statement from him. He sits alone in his quiet house. But Charlie is not built to stay broken. The following day, Charlie goes to the airport to receive Sarah's body and her belongings. At home, he opens her luggage and finds a small gift she'd brought for him. Inside is a puzzle and a heartfelt message. The gesture breaks him, and he collapses in tears. Later that night, he searches online for information about the attack. He comes across videos on X, including one featuring Sarah, but he couldn't bring himself to watch it. He returns to work and begins doing what he does best, digging. He sneaks back into the restricted room, hacks into the London hotel's CCTV system, and begins pulling apart every second of footage from the time the attackers arrived to the moment they escaped. What he pieces together is meticulously detailed. The 4 terrorists stole a vehicle on the east side of the city, wiped it clean, and entered the hotel through a service entrance. They had a scheduled meeting with an Indonesian investment company. Something went wrong during that meeting. An argument erupted. One of the terrorists shot the company's security officers. Police were called. Cornered and desperate, the terrorists stormed a conference room and grabbed hostages, and Sarah was one of them, only because she tried to help someone else escape. Charlie runs voice and facial recognition analysis on the footage and identifies all 4 attackers. Mishka, based in Moscow. Lawrence Elish, a former South African Special Forces operative turned weapons trafficker. Gretchen, a former Armenian intelligence officer. And the leader, the one who actually pulled the trigger, Horst Schiller, an elusive mercenary with ties to dozens of criminal defense networks. Charlie brings all of this to Moore and his supervisor, Caleb. And here's where the betrayal deepens. When Charlie lays out every piece of evidence, including the fact that Gretchen is in Paris and visits the same cafe every morning, Moore and Caleb show zero surprise. Because they already knew. They've been sitting on this information this whole time. Caleb assures him that the responsible parties will be held accountable. They assure him they will compare his findings with their own and work on it, then sends him to the agency therapist. Charlie walks out of that office burning with a rage he doesn't yet know what to do with. At the therapist's office, he opens up about his trauma, guilt. He blames himself for not traveling with Sarah when she asked. He also talked about the pressures of his spy assignments, saying he gave the agency the names of the killers and nothing has been done about it. Charlie returns to work and quietly sneaks in. He slips a hidden chip inside his ID badge, bypasses the building's security scanners, and quietly copies the classified files Inquiline originally sent him. He uses a skimmer device on an office printer to create additional digital backups. Then he calmly shuts everything down and walks out of the building. The next morning, Charlie marches back into Moore's office and drops a thick physical file on the desk. Inside, documented proof of Moore's entire history of unauthorized black ops, illegal bombings, strikes on Allied bases, civilian casualties numbering in the thousands. And then Charlie announces that he has set up a dead man's switch. If he fails to enter a specific code every 5 hours, all of these files automatically transmit to 2 major investigative journalists. Within 24 hours, everything goes public. Moore and Caleb are stunned into silence. Caleb asks Charlie what he wants. Charlie then tells them exactly what he wants in exchange for his silence. He doesn't want them to handle the killers through official channels. He wants to do it himself. He demands full training, weapons, fake passports, cash, and everything a covert operative would need to hunt down the people who murdered his wife. Moore laughs. He actually laughs, and makes a joke about Charlie not being able to beat a 90-year-old nun in an arm wrestling match. But Moore agrees, because what other choice does he have? Meanwhile, his team frantically tears apart the building trying to figure out how Charlie got those files out. They check CCTV. They search his office. They find footage of him buying a magnetic strip. They debate whether he swallowed a chip. They search his home. Nothing. Charlie has outsmarted the entire intelligence apparatus of the United States government, and he hasn't even left the country yet. Charlie is sent to a CIA training facility where he meets Colonel Henderson, a no-nonsense veteran who makes it abundantly clear he has zero patience for amateurs. Henderson's job is to turn Charlie into someone who can survive in the field. The problem? Charlie is spectacularly terrible at almost everything. Firearms training is a disaster. Charlie can't aim. Even moving closer to the target barely helps. Only at point-blank range does he manage to hit anything, which Henderson dryly notes gives him maybe a 50-50th chance of hitting something useful. But then they move to explosives, and something clicks. Charlie assembles a homemade bomb with barely any guidance. Henderson stares at it, genuinely impressed and perhaps slightly alarmed. During one particularly important training moment, Henderson hands Charlie a loaded gun and tells him to point it directly at his chest and pull the trigger. Charlie raises the weapon. His hand trembles. He can't do it. Henderson takes the gun back and tells him the uncomfortable truth. Charlie is not a killer. Training can sharpen many things, but it cannot manufacture the specific kind of coldness required to take a life up close. What neither of them realizes yet is that this moment is planting a seed for the entire final act of the movie. Back at headquarters, the CIA team cracks the hidden CD they found in the jukebox of the bar Charlie had visited. And when they decrypt it, they discover he was bluffing. There is no dead man switch. The whole thing was a performance. Moore immediately gives Henderson the kill order. Henderson storms into Charlie's room and finds an empty bed. Charlie is already gone. He used a janitor's key card to slip out undetected, taking a bag full of forged passports with him. And as Moore frantically pieces together what happened, he flips open the physical file Charlie slammed on his desk during their confrontation and finds a tiny listening device stuck to the inside. The real bug. Charlie heard everything. He's been 3 steps ahead this entire time. Charlie boards a plane to London, then quietly makes his way to Paris, passing through immigration without a single flag using one of his forged identities. Back at the CIA, Caleb informs Moore that the system has flagged one of Charlie's forged passports. Caleb suggests alerting their liaison in Europe, but Moore shuts it down. Charlie checks into a hotel with a view of the small cafe that Gretchen frequents every morning. He watches. He waits. When she appears, before she leaves, he remotely hacks her phone and plants a tracker. That night, he follows the signal to her apartment. From across the street, He watches Gretchen and her boyfriend prepare to go out, using a YouTube tutorial, because of course he does, picks the lock and slips inside. He photographs her calendar and finds a gun in a drawer, which he pockets after a long, hesitant moment. Then he hears voices. The couple came home early. Charlie bolts up the stairs, heart pounding, and barely escapes without being seen. Back in his hotel room, studying the calendar photos, he notices Gretchen has a hospital appointment the next day, an allergy specialist treating pollen-related conditions. And just like that, a plan forms in the mind of the world's most reluctant spy. The next morning, Charlie buys an armful of flowers, lilies included, and sets up in a cafe across from the hospital. He follows Gretchen inside. During her treatment, he remotely crashes the doctor's computer, creating enough confusion to slip into the examination room disguised as medical staff. He locks the door. He seals Gretchen inside the respiratory chamber. When she demands to know who he is, Charlie pumps a concentrated dose of pollen into the chamber and demands Schiller's location, promising to let her go the moment she talks. Outside, doctors are pounding on the door. Gretchen is going into anaphylactic shock. And Charlie, who is decidedly not a killer, cracks first. He opens the chamber. She bursts out, slams him aside, and runs. Charlie gives chase into the street with his gun raised, and then a speeding van tears through the lane and strikes her. Gretchen is dead, not by Charlie's hand, but because of his actions. He approaches her body, grabs her phone, and disappears. He returns to his hotel, cleans up, packs, and buys a train ticket to Marseilles. That night in Marseilles, Charlie is sitting in a nightclub, doing shots and trying to drown the guilt when he spots Henderson cutting through the crowd toward him. The chase is on. Charlie bolts through the back exit, sprints through the city streets, and ducks into a small bar. Henderson follows him inside. Charlie locks himself in the bathroom. Nowhere to run. So instead, he steps back out to face Henderson directly. He asks how Henderson found him. Henderson explains he tracked the location data on Gretchen's phone, the same one Charlie grabbed from her body. Henderson tells him his orders are clear. He has to end this. Charlie responds by showing him a countdown timer on his phone. It hits 0. An explosion rips through the bathroom behind them. In the chaos, Charlie disappears into the night. Exhausted and out of options, Charlie reaches out to Inquiline for help. They send him coded directions. He boards a cargo plane to Istanbul, Turkey. Following further instructions, he finds himself at a small cafe where someone is supposed to hand him a book. He approaches the wrong person entirely, an older man, before a woman intercepts him. She hands him the book and tells him to check his messages and meet her outside. This is the real Inquiline. Charlie tries to explain why he needs her help, but she already knows. It's unsafe to talk here, so she tells him to meet her at a garage in 30 minutes. When he arrives, he gets into Hercule car, and she drives off. On the way, she explains that the original Inquiline was her husband, a former KGB officer who became a CIA asset and died under suspicious circumstances 6 years ago. Before his death, he taught her everything he knew: encryption, infiltration, survival. She's been operating under his code name ever since, maintaining loose contact with Charlie's division as a kind of insurance policy. They arrive at her secluded home on the outskirts of the city, guarded only by roaming guinea fowls. Together, they begin working on the remaining targets. They identify Elish's paranoia as a key vulnerability and plan to lure him out by having Inquiline pose as an arms dealer. They pinpoint Mishka's location through a carefully analyzed social media photo, finding his girlfriend's reflection in a window in the background, tracing her flight history, and confirming he's in Madrid. Charlie gathers supplies for his plan and builds a device designed to compromise the rooftop pool. By the next night, everything is ready. He trails Mishka through the hotel, unaware Henderson is already close behind. In the lobby, Charlie notices a man tailing him and quietly asks Inquiline through a hidden earpiece to run facial recognition. Inquiline urges him to abort, but Charlie refuses. He reaches the rooftop and confronts Mishka in the pool, demanding to know where Schiller is. She directs Charlie to the basement, but Henderson was closing in, intercepts him just in time. Before Henderson could grab him, the second CIA grabs him and the two erupts to a vicious fight. Later that night, the guinea fowl alarms go off. In what is both the most practical and heartbreaking scene in the film, the birds outside Inquiline's home start screeching, and when she checks her security feeds, Russian operatives are already creeping across her property. She and Charlie run. They barely make it to her car. They speed away as gunfire erupts behind them. They think they've escaped. Then a patrol boat appears along the shoreline. One shot. Precise. Devastating. Inquiline is gone. Charlie holds her, drives to a quiet garage, and leaves her there with a gentle kiss on the forehead. He sits alone in a cafe afterward, hollowed out, and then her phone buzzes. It's Lawrence Elish, responding to the arms deal she'd set up. He wants to meet. Charlie doesn't hesitate. Charlie heads to Romania for the meet with Elish. But not before doing something extraordinarily clever. He hacks surveillance cameras across Europe and makes random strangers appear as him on various security feeds, sending CIA analysts on a wild chase across multiple countries simultaneously. At the meeting location, Charlie has already prepared a box. Inside, a triggering mechanism designed so that lifting the lid, stepping away, or crossing a specific beam will detonate it instantly. When Elish arrives and picks up the phone Charlie left on a nearby chair, Charlie instructs him to open the box. The moment he did, the mechanism he designed activates. Charlie steps out of the shadows. He tells Elish to look at the photograph of Sarah taped to the top of the box. Then he asks for Schiller's location. Elish, sweating and rigid with terror, reveals that Schiller operates on a private yacht, usually somewhere in Russian waters. He makes deliveries through a Baltic port called Primorsk, using a coded number system to contact two men, Simon and Christoph, who work directly for Schiller. Charlie takes the phone, the code, and the names. Then he walks away. Elish screams after him, asking what happens now. Charlie suggests, without turning around, that if he jumps fast enough, he might survive the blast. He doesn't. Charlie arrives in Primorsk by boat. He rents a room. And in a quietly emotional moment, he finally solves the puzzle Sarah left him in her luggage. The next morning at the port, he spots a suspicious truck. 3 men get out. Charlie sends Elish's coded message to one of the contact numbers, and one of the men immediately reaches for his phone. These are Schiller's crew. He follows them, watches them load supplies onto a small boat, photographs the vessel, and then, sitting in a nearby cafe, he runs into the bear. The bear tells Charlie the only way out of Russia is in a box and offers to help him walk away. He says no one sent him. He came on his own. Charlie thanks him and refuses. He's not leaving until it's done. That night, Charlie plants himself at a distance and studies Schiller's yacht coordinates. But the following morning, as he watches Schiller's men preparing their small boat, someone creeps up behind him and knocks him out. He wakes up on the yacht. Standing before him is Horst Schiller, calm, commanding, and utterly unbothered. He's holding a bomb Charlie planted earlier, and he's almost amused by how primitive it is. Charlie tells him he knows about more. About the Black Ops. About everything. And then he tells him the real reason he's here. Schiller responds with a chilling kind of honesty. Sarah's death wasn't personal. It was operational. The police were blocking an escape route. She was used to send a message. He even apologizes, says she died bravely. Then he does something extraordinary. He hands Charlie his own loaded gun. He stares at him across the cabin and says you can't do it up close. That's why all your kills were from a distance. Charlie raises the gun, and then he lowers it. Not because he's afraid, not because he's weak, but because he has a better idea. He tells Schiller that a quick death is too merciful. He wants him to feel what Sarah felt. That specific, suffocating powerlessness of knowing the end is coming and being completely unable to stop it. And then the yacht shudders. Schiller demands to know what's happening. Charlie lifts his wrist, showing a smartwatch he's been wearing since Primorsk. He explains that the watch turned him into a transmitter the moment Schiller's men brought him aboard. He needed Schiller to keep talking long enough for the yacht's navigation system, which Charlie had already quietly compromised, to reroute them directly into Finnish territorial waters while simultaneously broadcasting their exact coordinates to Interpol. Schiller insists the system is CIA encrypted and unhackable. Charlie smiles and says he knows. Because he built the encryption. Moments later, Finnish Navy vessels close in from all directions. Officers board. The crew is disarmed. Schiller is placed in handcuffs. And Charlie, listed only as an anonymous whistleblower who tipped off the authorities, walks away free. The following day, Director O'Brien faces a packed press conference. The story has broken wide open: illegal drone strikes, unauthorized black ops disguised as terrorist incidents, years of CIA cover-ups. Moore and Caleb are arrested. O'Brien vows full transparency going forward. When reporters ask about the whistleblower, she confirms they are safe and still with the agency. Charlie visits Sarah's grave and places flowers there gently. No dramatic speech, no cathartic breakdown. Just a man standing beside the woman he loved, making good on a promise she never got to hear. That evening, he walks to his car and finds Henderson sitting inside. Who's the Uber driver now? Charlie asks. Henderson tells him he's proud of him. That what Charlie did, the whole impossible journey, isn't something you can teach. It has to come from somewhere inside a person. And it came from inside Charlie. They part ways quietly. And in the final scene, Charlie walks into his garage. The old Cessna plane, the one Sarah gave him, the one that was broken into pieces at the beginning of the film, has been fully restored. It's ready to fly. If you enjoyed this story and want more classic movie breakdowns like this, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, was Charlie right to do what he did? Did he find justice, or just a more sophisticated version of revenge? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because I genuinely want to know what you think. And I'll see you in the next one.